Today, I've got a problem with one of my video cameras for outdoors, and it's a Hikvision. It's actually from Nelly's Security. Bought it in 2018, and it's a bullet style camera that's it's a non-branded, but it's got Hikvision internals, and it's been outdoors now since, what, 4, 5, 6 years, and not shielded under the eaves or anything, and it's developed water in the lens. It's gotten wet, and it doesn't look quite as bad right now since I brought it in the house a few hours ago. It's starting to dry a little bit, but I can see that the inside of the lens, the glass is fogged, and there's still water droplets. So today I'm going to take this thing apart and see if I can get it dried out. Let's see what's inside this Hikvision bullet camera and see what we can do with it. As I said, this one I got from Nelly's Security. It's a bullet style. And you can see it's kind of got a seal around the outside here. It's got a seam anyway. And it was hanging outdoors with this part of the camera exposed. So let's see what we can do to get down inside. I'm going to start with taking these, there are 3 Phillips screws here, and it looks like a number 1. I'm going to see if I can remove those. Because I think I could try and dry this out by leaving it indoors, but if the inside of that lens is fogged, or has a residue on it, I'll call it, then, that's not so good. Oop, got one of those little screws out of there. These holes get full of insects, build webs and stuff in there, and I've cleaned those all out with a toothpick. Just kind of went in and picked out all the lint. And I think once I get this one dried out, I will have to remount it so that it's, or put a shield over it, perhaps a piece of sheet metal, something so the rain can't go directly on it. This is the first time I've had one of these do this, so alright, screws are backed out, and I can tell that it's loose, so let's gently open it up here. So when I get inside, what have I got? But here's one that looks like a power cable. See if I can unplug that. Yeah, just 2 pins. I'm not sure what it powers, but it goes up to the front. And that gives me a little more room. And then there's a ribbon cable here. One end says DSP and one end says sensor. So I guess you got to make sure it goes the correct direction. There is a silicone or some kind of a plastic gasket here that looks like it's supposed to keep the water out. And perhaps it wasn't quite as successful as it should be. Let's see how that ribbon cable, if I can figure out how to get that out of there. Basically what I want to do is get to the front of I want to get this out so I can get to the front here. Well, I guess I got it. Here's the ribbon cable, and it went in with the sensor with the name up. There's the little gasket, and it had a latch, has a latch. See if I can get you, see this guy here, and I was able to unlatch it by pulling it up with a fingernail and pivoting it, and it looks like I should be able to sneak the ribbon cable back in there and then clamp it down. And there's that seal. Perhaps the seal shrunk a little bit. I can't tell. There are screws here that hold the circuit board in. I don't know that I want to really remove those. I think I want to get there's a screw here and one here and one here that looks like it holds the mechanism into the case. So, and let's see, this side is up. This one is the up pin here, or up bolt. Well, that one came loose easily enough. Drop that out. I call this one a Phillips number 0. It'll probably be a little bit fun sneaking those back in again, but let's see if that works. Actually it does, look at that. Ooh, nice and easy. There we go. There we go. That was all it took to get it out of the case. So these around the outside are the LEDs. And you can see there's water on the front of the glass. And then there's also moisture on the front of the lens. Now I don't know if it's inside. Well, I guess my rag here is pretty soft. Let me see if that'll wipe off. It looks like it does, although I don't think the lens is completely clean. I'm going to get my lens cleaning kit from my camera, and I'm just going to clean that. I'm going to clean this one out, and then I'm going to let these dry out. And I'm going to let it sit for a while so that the circuit boards and things get a chance to dry. And then I'll put it back together. But for now, it can just sit here and dry out. Alright, I'm back working on my bullet cam that had moisture in it. And it's been sitting here for several weeks actually, drying out. It's been a while since I could work on it. So a couple things I want to do. First thing was, I found some old silica gel desiccant packets. So if you bake them at, I don't remember what the number was, it was somewhere around 250 degrees for a few hours, you can dry these things out. And I understand that some of these cameras have a desiccant package to keep them dry inside. So my second or third thought here was that I should probably try to take the rest of the pieces out of here and see if there is a desiccant package somewhere inside. So I'm going to start by taking off the door here, and I think this is normally where they would put an SD card of some type, or a micro SD, or whichever. So I'm going to take a look in here first. And I thought this was a hex, but it's not. It appears to be a T10 Torx. And sure enough, there's an opening there with a reset button and a connector and 4-pin connector. And it looks like a socket for a card. But I can't really get a very good look back into the back end. So I am going to take out the next layer of circuit board here just to see where what I can see. And I'm going to try and do it without taking apart that connector. Regular screwdriver doesn't do it. I got to go back to this little one. Just takes a lot of pressure. Take a screw out there. Take one out there. are only 2 of them, so let's see if it'll come loose. And the answer is it doesn't really seem to want to move. There it goes. Just had to wiggle it a little bit till it, oh, it's got a, so there's a socket down there in the bottom that the board was plugged into. That's why I had to do some wiggling to get it loose. And then there's another board down below that. Well, I guess I got to go one more layer. Let's see what we got back here. Really little screws. Let's see if that board will dislodge, or is it sort of going to be stuck? The answer is, there it comes out, and it had a, oh, that's a little disappointing. It has a pad down here that looks like a heatsink pad, and sure enough, there is a little desiccant package back in there. That's why I decided maybe I ought to take it apart. See if I can pop that little guy out of there. So that's the desiccant. I suppose I could bake that one. And it looks like all the wires are sealed in the back of the camera there. So that's okay. I should probably bake that one, but being as my time is limited, I'm going to take one of these packets that I've had sealed in a Ziploc after I baked them. Let's see if one of these will fit in here. I can tuck that in the back. The only thing I'm a little worried about is whether it can touch the circuit board or not. But the paper should be non-conductive, so I'm going to kind of work on that assumption. That may not be the right thing, but I'm going to try it. So then I'm going to put this one back in, and I said there's a piece of foam in there. It looks like a heatsink perhaps for these 2 chips. And I was worried about damaging it, taking the board out, but I think that if I drop it back in there, it's going to sit back there in contact. So now the fun part here is going to be that these screws are really, really small, and I've got a little needle nose. I'm going to try to get them back in their holes with that, because I don't want to drop them inside under the boards, or that's liable to cause trouble. So let's see if we can get that one started. Alright, so now I've got all 3 of those screws in, and there is a little pin down here in the corner, an alignment pin that it has to sit on, and man, these are fine thread screws. You just have to be really careful putting them in. But now that I've got that, now I need to line up these ribbon connector out of the way. Get this squared up and get that circuit board fed back into its socket. Trying to figure out the alignment is maybe a little of a challenge, but the holes are lined up, so I guess I'm going to yep, push it in, and went in nice and easy. And there's 2 more screws in this layer. And I'm kind of using the method of don't tighten the screws down till they're all started, so in case you need to shift the board a little for alignment. And you don't want to scratch the board and damage any of those little bitty surface mount components. So that's kind of extra fun too. This layer only has 2 screws, so they're in. Then I pulled this cover off. It has its own little seal on it. I just need to make sure which way is right side up. Oh, and it does have a pin on it, so it can only go one way. I need to put the camera module back in, and it's all clean and dry. So it's got a plug that has to go in there. And then we're back to this sensor cable. And it can only go one way. So it looks like it should go along this edge of that, because all the connections are on this side. It wants to go like that. We'll hold the round thingy up, the latch, and slide that in until it's bottomed. I know my fingers are probably in the way, but slides in like that. And then I need to be able to get, there it goes. See that this little brown deal is hinged, and you have to flip it down so that it puts pressure on the side of that ribbon connector. But it feels like it's in there tight. I had it in the bottom. That should be good. And then this dude should only go in there one way. It's got a tab. Goes down the center. Plug that guy in like so. And then the ribbon cable looks like it kind of folds in there. Alright, so once that's connected to the ribbon cable, and there's, I don't know, perhaps that could be done differently. I'm going to slide this back into the front housing, and it has 2 double notch deals because there's double notches, so there's some alignment marks down there. I'll drop it in. Like so. Alright, so all the double jobs are in. Where are these tiny little screws? Let's make sure this wire goes through the opening and not get trapped. If I can. Yeah, there we go. Like that. Just didn't want to pinch that wire. For the moment, I'm actually going to leave this unhooked for a minute. Sensor wire's connected. I'll leave this undone for the moment. Let's see if I can get these little screws fished back into there. Just want to be real careful not to hurt that ribbon cable, because these things are really delicate. But the ribbon cable was over the top of the screw hole, so I have to tip it a little. And oops, I messed up. I forgot to put the gasket on. Which means, I guess I'm going to take the sensor wire back out. See if we can pop this back up. Like so. Pull out the sensor wire. The gasket back in. Now we got to line this back up and put it back again. I guess I could have taken the camera back out too, but sure it's in all the way. Flip the latch down. Alright, now it looks like it's in all the way, and it's clipped down. I'll put this other connection back in. Got that one back on the board. Gasket's falling out. Come on, drop that gasket back into place. Alright. We're lined up roughly correct. We got these longer screws that have to go in the back. Tricky part is getting those lined up. That's better. Got that one started. Snug goes down good. Make sure the gasket's compressed. Alright. Now it's all back together, ready for me to go out and connect and see how she does. And I think the next time I'm going to get a piece of sheet metal. This one sticks out, and I'm going to try to shield that, keep the water from being able to sit on it. But otherwise, I think we're all set. So that's what it took for me to dry out my Hikvision bullet camera. All done. That's all for now.